Do you know the feeling when someone gives you a knowing smile or a knowing look? Someone who is knowing is sneakily wise and perceptive. Estée Lauder's Knowing is the last in a long line of Chypres that the company released in the 20th century. It's a fragrance that seems lost in the past, but it still managed to be strangely modern and avant-garde when it came out because it predicted the future. It was one of the first woody fragrances for women, along with Dior Dune, Dior Dolce Vita, Tuscany Per Donna, Shiseido Féminité du Bois. Along with these fragrances, it started the woody trend, particularly in female-marketed fragrances. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This was a very long intro. My name's Luke and here on this channel we talk about perfume, fragrance, scent. If that's something you're interested in, please consider subscribing. As you already know, because you clicked on this video, today I'm reviewing Knowing from Estée Lauder. I've known about this scent for ages and I kept avoiding it for some reason. Well, because my piano teacher wore it. And I won't get into that, but let's just say that I decided to overcome my grudges, forgive and forget, move on and enjoy this fragrance because it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous classic Chypre. It was released in 1988 and it's classified as a Chypre floral. I agree with that. I would only add that this is also woody. So in my opinion, this is a Chypre woody floral or a woody floral Chypre, however you want to call it. It's an intense, opulent, classic, old school Chypre scent. If you don't know what Chypre means, I'll explain it quickly. A classic Chypre is a fragrance that has citrusy, aromatic and or green top notes, a floral heart, and a very heavy, mossy, woody, earthy, or even leathery base. So it's a very intense type of scent profile, I guess. You can find modern Chypres like Coco Mademoiselle. Coco Mademoiselle is a fruity Chypre, but Knowing is a classic Chypre. It's a green, floral, mossy, and woody Chypre fragrance. It's incredibly rich, complex, potent. Some of the main accords include woody, earthy, floral, spicy, mossy, aldehydic, aromatic, and even animalic. This fragrance has a staggering 26 notes, including the note of Pittosporum, which is a flower that inspired Mrs. Lauder to create this beautiful scent. The story has it that when she was holidaying in the south of France, Evelyn Lauder, the founder of the brand, fell in love with a floral scent that wafted through the garden below her balcony. And she kept searching and searching for the source, and she discovered that it was coming from the Pittosporum flower. I had to look up the pronunciation. I'm not pretending that I knew how to pronounce Pittosporum, but it's Pittosporum. So she loved this flower so much that she wanted to include it in her next fragrance, and she did. She had a Pittosporum fragrance made. And I have to be honest with you, I don't really know what Pittosporum smells like. I've never smelled it in real life. I don't think I've ever seen it in real life. So I can't really tell you if I smell it in this fragrance. But it's supposed to be there. It's listed in the notes on Fragrantica and on the Estée Lauder website. Unfortunately, it's not entirely clear who the perfumer was. Some people think it was Harry Fremont. And Fragrantica also credits Harry Fremont as the perfumer, but some other people claim it was not Harry Fremont, it was actually Eli Roger, so we're not entirely sure who the perfumer was. So if you know for certain, let me know in the comments. So let's talk about the notes and the development of this scent. As I said, it's a very complex fragrance, and it's one that needs to be sprayed on skin if you want to experience it properly. On first spray, you'll notice that this is a typical old school Chypre. It opens very intense on my skin. It opens green, soapy, slightly fruity, but there's also a blast of fresh and clean smelling aldehydes. I really pick up on the melon and the mimosa in the opening, but after a few minutes, it starts warming up. It starts getting more aromatic, more floral, earthy, mossy, powdery, and woody. And I wouldn't say that the florals are at the forefront. It's the rich Chypre base that defines this fragrance and dominates the entire composition. The oak moss, the patchouli, the vetiver, and the sandalwood are the strongest notes. This is a very woody and a very dry fragrance, and these notes really stand out to my nose. From the florals, the rose stands out the most, in my opinion, but there's also some tuberose, some jasmine, orange blossom, and possibly some other flowers that I can't really smell in this composition. I just get some nondescript florals. The only floral that I can really identify is the rose. The other florals are just kind of nondescript, in my opinion. So this is by no means a floral scent. It's definitely more woody than floral, but it's also slightly animalic in the base. Although civet as a note is not listed on the Estée Lauder website, it is listed on Fragrantica, and I detect a civet note or a civet accord, which makes knowing animalic. But it's not overly animalic, but it's not the cleanest smelling fragrance either. So it's definitely slightly animalic. It reminds me of Paloma Picasso ever so slightly. Paloma Picasso is definitely more animalic than knowing, but an animalic note, a very slight animalic note, is there in the base for sure, even in this newest formulation. But that's just my opinion, you know. Oak moss is listed as well, although I don't see it in the ingredients, but it's listed on the Estée Lauder website and I can smell it. So whatever substitute for oak moss they're using, it's working because I can smell oak moss in this scent for sure. I can smell it. I know what oak moss smells like. I have vintage fragrances with real oak moss that have oak moss extract listed in the ingredients on the box. This one doesn't, but I can still smell it. So there's definitely some kind of oak moss or some kind of moss in this fragrance. So the opening of knowing can be quite challenging, even for me, but the dry down is soft, woody, powdery, dry, and very slightly sweet. Underneath all the greenery, all the aromatic herbs, the woods, the mosses, all the civet and all the potent Chypre style notes, there is a sweet honeyed undercurrent, some type of honeyed sweetness. And I really enjoy this slight sweetness I detect from this scent, but this is by no means a sweet scent. It's still very dry, very dusty, very earthy, and it's very polarizing. Some people will absolutely love it. Some people will recoil in horror when they smell this. I wouldn't say I love it, but I really, really like it. I really enjoy it. And I really wanted to pick up a bottle because I suspect it might get discontinued in the future. So I talked about the notes at great length. And let me talk about what this fragrance evokes, how it makes me feel. This is a very powerful scent for a very confident person. It commands respect. It's challenging. It's an acquired taste. And I find it really interesting. Every time I wear it, I smell something different. A new facet reveals itself to me. And I'd also say this is quite androgynous and completely unisex by today's standards. Actually, most masculine fragrances, most new releases are sweeter than this. Knowing isn't sweet at all. It's dry, dusty, rosy Chypre. I don't really want to talk about the performance because this is an excellent performer. It's absolutely nuclear on first spray. It tends to calm down after 2 to 3 hours, but the sillage is just excellent. I can smell it on myself all day long. It lasts over 12 hours. It's just an excellent performer, which is to be expected from a fragrance of this caliber. When it comes to the question of reformulation, I can't say how this compares to the old formula because I'm only familiar with this one. I'm sure it's been reformulated, I'm sure it's been modernized, but I think it's still true to the original. It smells great. I will say though that Knowing Legacy, which is a new release from Estée Lauder and is just a glorified version of Knowing that retails for £250, it was reimagined and recreated by Frederick Malle. So that fragrance is different from the original Knowing. That one was modernized to suit modern tastes, I guess. And Malle spoke about that in an interview, and he talked about removing the unnecessary noise, aka the bass notes that make the scent, well, dated. And I don't think I have to comment on that because you all know what I think. I'll just stick to the original. I'm glad I finally own it. This is a 75 milliliter bottle, which will probably last me a lifetime. This is such a potent scent that you hardly need more than 3 or 4 sprays. I usually do around 10, but with fragrances like Knowing, I don't spray, as Gabby likes to say, with gay abandon. I really don't. But if you do, that's perfectly fine. I don't care. I don't judge. I used to be a crazy oversprayer. I used to spray 20 sprays, 25, 30 sprays. I don't do that anymore. Now I kind of like to enjoy my fragrance and just spray about anywhere from 10 to 15 sprays, depending on the fragrance. If it's a very strong fragrance, if it's a vintage formulation, if it's a powerhouse, I do about 5 to 6, maybe 4 to 5. Oud Bouquet, I spray only about 2 to 3 times because it's so strong that I can't handle any more than that. But that's a very personal choice. So I think that's all I wanted to say about Knowing. It's such an amazing, opulent classic Chypre. I hope this review did it justice. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Goodbye.